I'm Susan. Welcome to Tea and Games. The tea this morning is Builders. Kind of an old favorite of ours. It's what we frequently have early in the morning on weekdays. I've been drinking some like fancy flavored autumnal teas, but I've gone back to Builders. It's been a couple of weeks since I made a video. Last week was Thanksgiving week here in the US, and things felt a little rushed because Thanksgiving was here and I was prepping some stuff and doing some things. But so what I did is I posted a link because everybody on YouTube is posting their Christmas buyer's guide last week. So I posted a link to last year's Christmas gift buying video. And I will link it in the description below here as well. The reason why I did that is because, honestly, I'm not sure I have much new to say on that subject. I don't buy tons and tons of new games like every year for Christmas. Well, I mean, I kind of do, but not like that. Anyhow, it's still good. A lot of it has to do with advice on how to select presents for specific people, how to think about what presents that you're going to get and get something that they're going to like. So that video I think is just going to hold for the Christmas present videos. This video is going to be culling, playing, and what we bought. Because Thanksgiving, Black Friday, big shopping day after Thanksgiving. But the Black Friday sales actually started a couple of weeks before Black Friday, so we started ordering a few things. And I will get to that in a minute. But first, welcome to new subscribers. I'm happy you're here. This is a small, casual, informal, and very non-professional board game channel. My husband Robert and we're weekend board gamers, and we are, I would say, kind of average board gamers. He doesn't choose to appear on videos, so I just do these videos because I just like to hang out and chat about board games with people. And there's a wonderful board game community on YouTube. So yeah, and there's also a really big and wonderful board game community on Blue Sky, and you can also find my profile and a board game starter pack link here on my profile on YouTube. So that's all of that. For a while now, I've been thinking about that we probably need to cull a few games. It's been a while since, there's some games like we'll just get rid of one random game here and there because we're just going like, oh yeah, no, we're not going to keep that. But it's been a while since we just pulled a bunch of games off the shelf and they went away. So, end of year is not a bad time to do this because I use the BG Stats app. And the BG Stats app, it allows you to track your plays and your game collection. And so looking at it, I realized that some of the games I'd been kind of given the side eye to on the shelves were games that haven't been played in 2 years or more. So yeah, I'm kind of going like, yeah, Robert, we need to talk about this. So I made a list and we went through the list. Robert is very reluctant to get rid of games. And some of the games we got rid of this time are games that he had previously basically snatched out of my hands and squirreled away somewhere because he didn't want to get rid of them for his own reasons. So anyhow, we've culled a bunch of games, though some of these games, it's quite possible that we will see and play again because they went to family members. We got rid of Spring Meadow, which is an Uwe Rosenberg game, which is a game in this trilogy, this seasonal trilogy of games he did. There's Spring Meadow, Indian Summer, and Cottage Garden, like spring, autumn, summer. Spring Meadow was our least favorite. Robert liked it okay, but he is a lot more forgiving of games than I am. I didn't like it at all. It just wasn't enjoyable. The gameplay itself just wasn't enjoyable to me. I know there are people who love this game. I mean, that can be said of a lot of games. There are very few games that everyone's going to hate. And I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it. And we're getting to this point in buying games and culling games where, I mean, our board game collection is a curated collection, but it's becoming even more so. We're distilling our collection down. The whole idea being that we're going to have these shelves of games and we're going to love every single one of them. So this is a game that we didn't love. I really didn't like it that much. I didn't enjoy playing it. Robert liked it, but the problem is there are literally over 100 games that we like much more than this. It's like there's just, anytime we're going to pull a game off the shelf, even in spring when it's going to be seasonal, we're not going to pick this one. So we just kind of talked about that and decided that we'll just go ahead and break up the set, and that game got passed on to Half Price Books. I also got rid of, and those of you who have been watching since the very beginning are going to go, oh, we did it. We got rid of Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, which is still in shrink, because at the time, I bought it when it first came out. And at that point in time, we didn't know yet that we don't like those kind of games and that campaign games would be hard to table. Now, years later, having had difficulty tabling campaign games and also having played other shorter dungeon crawlers, we know, Robert and I both, we don't like dungeon crawlers. So it's like a campaign game that's a dungeon crawler. The chances that we will ever play this game are vanishingly small. A type of game that we don't like, that's a campaign game. So it would be what? Playing a kind of game we really don't like over a long period of time. And we're just going like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So we got rid of it, and that went to my nephew. He expressed some interest in it. We also got rid of Dungeon Heroes, which is from the Tiny Epic people, the Tiny Epic Galaxy Games line. It is not technically a Tiny Epic line, but it's the same kind of box, and it was designed by Michael Coe, I think. But we got rid of Dungeon Heroes. We played it once, and we enjoyed it more than we thought we would. It is a dungeon crawler. It is also a head-to-head battler, which is something that we don't like. We don't like combat. We don't like battle. We don't like head-to-head conflict games. I'm sure there's some exceptions in our collection, but generally speaking, these games have a very low chance of getting a big thumbs up from us. So here we have a dungeon crawler and a head-to-head game, and so yeah, we enjoyed it more than we thought it would, but this is also a game that when we're looking at our shelves and deciding to pull games off the shelf, it's going to be like down there in like the bottom 10 of games we're ever going to want to play again. So my niece expressed an interest in that, and it went to her. We also got rid of Sunset Over Water and Floriferous. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be howling and screaming and pounding things because we got rid of Floriferous, but if you're watching, you know that it was not a hit with us. It just really fell horribly flat for us. And see, that's the thing. Gameplay can be very, very subjective. I also feel like Floriferous would play better with more people, but I don't know anybody that would want to play the flower collecting card game. Nobody. And so it's just going to be Robert and I, and we're playing and we're going like blah, 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 blah. So it's like, it is the most recent game on our calls list. Most of these things are games that we've not played recently. Some of them we've not played in a long time. Jaws of the Lion we never played. But yeah, we got rid of Floriferous because it just really, it's not a good game for us specifically. And besides, if we're going to grab a pencil first game, we're grabbing Herbaceous because we love Herbaceous. And we got rid of Sunset Over Water because we like it when we play it, but we just never ever think of playing it. It's one of those games that's like, I play it because I look at that and I say, wow, we haven't played that in a really long time. We should play it. It's very pretty. It is a beautiful game. Again, it has that, maybe it's the mechanism. It has that card tableau where you move things around on the card tableau, move your little tokens around the card tableau. Maybe that's something that doesn't hit with us. I'll have to pay a little bit more attention to that because that's a mechanic it has in common with Floriferous, the card tableau and moving and selecting things with your token on it. So yeah, we got rid of it because it rarely got played. It got played because we looked at each other and said, yeah, we really ought to play it again. And we like it when we played it, but we've got a lot of good games. And it's one of those games, it's nice, it's okay, it's pretty. We enjoy it just fine, but it's not one of those games that we go, wow, let's play it again. So it just didn't quite make the cut because at this point we've got so many more games that we would rather play than that. So, I mean, some of these games we're getting rid of are really good games. I would argue definitely Dungeon Heroes and Floriferous and Sunset Over Water are definitely going to fall into the category of really good games that are just not a good fit for us and our group of people we play with, which we only actually play with another group of people a couple of times a year. And then there's family too, but again, only so often in very specific tastes for the people we play with. Let's see, we also got rid of, speaking of Tiny Epic things, we got rid of Tiny Epic Pirates. We only played it once and it was a really rough first playthrough and we just didn't like it. It felt fiddly to us. It just felt like, I don't know, it felt like a really good Tiny Epic game that was just so totally overdone that it was no longer quite as good as it could have been. We really, for Tiny Epic games, we really look more for the kind of game playing experience we have with Tiny Epic Galaxies, which we still really like. Which is a game that is a fairly simple game in a small box that nevertheless has a lot of gameplay to it and a lot of fun. And Tiny Epic Pirates, it felt like they really leaned hard into the epic and not so much for the tiny, because it was just, it felt like it was just a little bit too much, a little bit more than what we were expecting and what we wanted. It felt fiddly. It felt like there was just too many tiny epic little things that we had to mess with during the game or keep track of or do. I don't know, the gameplay did not feel satisfying, at least for us. Now, admittedly, we only gave it one gameplay, but our impressions of the game after that one gameplay were negative enough that we have never touched that game again, and we're looking at each other and we're going like, yeah, no, we're not going to play this again. So that one went to my nephew. We also got rid of Fox in the Forest because I know you know that I like this game. Fox in the Forest, I play all the time on my app. But Robert doesn't really like or click with trick-taking games, so consequently I got the physical version of the game and we never play it. We played, I think, 3 games of it back-to-back and Robert was utterly miserable the whole time. So, yeah, I mean, if there's a game that one of us, if we primarily play it 2 and Fox in the Forest has to be played at 2, yeah, there's no reason to keep that. I'll play it on my app because there's nobody else that I'm going to play it with. And he does not like it. So we got rid of that. We got rid of another 2-player game, Land vs. Sea. I got that because it looked like it would have kind of a Carcassonne vibe, and I thought Robert would like it because he really likes Carcassonne. Actually, we both really like that. But the problem with this was he did like the game. And that's one of those games he saved from a cull the last time we culled games. But I kind of liked the game, but every time we played it, I kept thinking I would rather be playing Carcassonne. I like Carcassonne better. I would rather be playing Carcassonne. So it's like every time I played that game, I thought, yeah, this is fine, but I really should be playing a different game that reminds me of this. I shouldn't have gotten a game that was similar enough that every single time I put it on the table, it reminded me of a game that I love that we're not playing right now. And Robert liked it, but he didn't like it enough to save it from the cull this time, particularly since it's a 2-player head-to-head game, and we never play it because I don't like it. So it kind of fell victim to that because it's two-player. There are some games that one or the other of us may feel strongly about one way or another, but if it's not a two-player game, we may hang on to it because we're looking at each other going like, oh yes, so-and-so would love this game. We need to play it the next time they come over, or something like that. So, there are some games that we may be on the fence about, but it would be a good fit for playing with other people. But not that one. We got rid of Kaiju Crush, which is a simple little lightweight game that Robert grabbed on impulse just before we went into lockdown. I think it was right around pandemic time. And it's okay, and we played it a few times, but again, and that's one he saved from the cull because he was getting it confused with another Kaiju game we have. And I'm going like, no, it's not that one. And he's going like, oh, yeah, right, we can get rid of this. So we got rid of that. We got rid of Birds of a Feather Western North America because the problem with this game is I was super enthusiastic about it when we first got it, and we played it a lot. For 1 year, it was our most played game because it takes like 10 or 15 minutes to play a game. It's very, very fast, and the faster the game, the more games you can play. But the problem is, this game is designed to be a great, fun game and kind of slightly strategic if you play it with 4 people. If you play it with less than 4 people, then it has increasingly amounts of just incredibly random crap thrown down on the table that messes up the game. So, but you can play it with more than 4 players, and we played it at 6, and it's kind of a fun party game at higher player counts, but the card distribution is just crazy screwed up the more people you get over 4. I mean, the card distribution is not going to be even to begin with. But when you get more players, the card distribution gets very, very screwed up. And when you play it with less than 4 people, the game becomes random, which is kind of fun, like when you're first playing it, but then it's just like, yeah, okay. And then, well, this is really annoying. And we're just no longer playing it because it only plays really good with 4. I would say, though, because it is fun. It's a terrific game if you've got 4 players. If you have a game group that has often 4 players or maybe at most 5, and you want a filler game that is fast and fun and easy to learn and's got birds. Birds of a Feather Western North America might be a good fit for you because it's nifty if you've got the right player count. It is a huge amount of fun, but we could never really hit a player count that gave us a satisfying game experience. We also got rid of Cloud City, which we've had for many years because after the accident, I had rehab on my hands, and you notice I dropped things. I still feel like and when we're laying those little things and connecting the pieces, it's not a dexterity game, but it feels fiddly to me putting those little things and balancing that on that because I feel like, according to every metric you can possibly measure, my hands are 100%, but Cloud City is fiddly for me due to the manipulation of the pieces, even though it's not technically a dexterity game. So we got rid of that. Now, what we're thinking about getting is Monkey Palace because I do Legos. I don't have any trouble handling and putting together Legos. But I tend to bump things and knock things off and put the little pieces on there with Cloud City. And I have trouble seeing where the thingies go that are over, under when I'm counting stuff up. So we got rid of Cloud City. It just seems like not a good fit for me personally because of the handling pieces thing. It doesn't click with me. But I think because I do a lot of Lego that Monkey Palace would be a better building things up with your hands sort of game for me. We also got rid of Evolution, which is another one of those games I got fairly early in board game collecting stuff. And before I really knew what I liked, and I don't know, we played it once, and there was one card we never figured out exactly what we were supposed to be doing with it. The game felt a bit mean to me. And to Robert, we don't generally tend to like mean games. Maybe we just did not understand it very well, or maybe it has to do with the two-player count, but it really didn't hit with us. And what we played, when we played the game, it just didn't seem interesting enough to make the effort that was necessary to get better at it. We just didn't really enjoy the gameplay. So it went, because, I mean, I kept saying we should play that again. You know, we need to play that again. We need to sit down, go through everything again, relearn the game, and play it again. And we keep saying we should play it again, but we're never actually going to play it again. So it's gone. And that is all of the games that we got rid of. The games that did not go to niece and nephew went to half-price books. And this made room on our shelves for games that we bought, because I mentioned that there's Black Friday sales that started early. Well, first of all, there's Button Shy delivery. The summer reprint campaign delivered, and I got Super Slopes, which I haven't played yet, and Pizza Pizza Yum Yum, which was a Thanksgiving release last year, which I only just now got and haven't played yet, and Death Valley Highs and Lows. This is kind of interesting. This can act as an expansion or a standalone game. I haven't played it either way yet, but Death Valley was the first Button Shy game I got, because it has some of the prettiest artwork of any Button Shy game. So I'm really looking forward to diving into those. Also, I picked up the very first Christmas game buy thing I got Final Girl, what is it called? North Pole Nightmare. And I haven't played it yet. I actually got it a few weeks ago, and I still haven't played it yet. I don't play solo very often, but I wanted to do this like for Christmas, so this may hit the table this week. I'm thinking, I was getting ready for Thanksgiving before. It's got this on, I think this is an elf, and then this is Mrs. Claus. I kind of feel like that this one should be easy, but I've heard it may be slightly easier than some of the other ones, but not actually an easy game. So, because the reason why I kind of feel like it should be easy, Mrs. Claus versus Krampus, is that I kind of feel like Mrs. Claus should always win. I mean, what kind of a world is it if Mrs. Claus cannot defeat evil every single time? So, yeah, I think I'm going to be sharply disappointed when I fail to win as Mrs. Claus, but that's going to be a thing. So, that was the first thing, and we got that from our friendly local game store. And I picked up on sale Rebel Princess Deluxe. This is a trick-taking game, and Robert doesn't like trick-taking games, and also this doesn't play at 2 players. So this is a game I should not have gotten, but I've heard such good things about it, and I do like trick-taking games. And I feel like we need at least one really good trick-taking game in our collection for when we play with other people who do like and understand trick-taking games. Robert is not keen on trick-taking games, but I feel like every collection ought to have, they ought to touch on that just a little bit. We do have a Button Shy trick-taking 2-player game that Robert likes okay, Why I Otter, which Robert likes okay and I like, but it's a 2-player thing, I think, and I think this would be good if we had other people around. And it's got a lot of replayability because you have different ways in which to play the game. I've heard a lot about this. So I got this basically for the collection, knowing that we are not going to get around to playing it anytime soon because it requires a minimum of 3. Also, I got on sale, this has been on my wish list for years now, and it just seems like it was never enough of a priority to float to the very top of the list. It always just stayed solidly on the list, and other things I wanted more would jump up above it on the list. And you can rank things on your wish list and change the rankings in BG Stats, Board Game Stats app. This is the Deep Blue edition. This is I think the first of the Railroad Ink games. And I think this is going to be one we're going to like. We do like roll and writes, and this is kind of a classic roll and write. So yeah, a lot of our roll and writes are actually flip and writes. Right off the top of my head, I think Voyages and Yahtzees are the only games we have that actually are dice rolling rather than card flipping. But yeah, we're going to give this a try. This we will probably play sometime soon, though maybe not as soon as me being Mrs. Claus. Let me see here. We got Grand Austria Hotel. And the reason we got this is because the president-elect has promised tariffs, and there's been a lot of chatter in board game channels about the negative impact that this is going to have on game prices and things like that. And I don't really know what the specific impact would be. Nobody really knows until it happens, because presidents always go into office saying they're going to do a whole bunch of stuff, and then when they get into office, they usually do some of the stuff, but sometimes they can't get everything done that they want, or they say like, well, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and they're going like, okay, I'm not going to do half of that, because there are mitigating factors that affect how well they can implement their plans. So until tariffs are actually enacted, I can't really know for certain what countries or goods or products will be impacted, but it seems very likely, since this is very high on the agenda, that there will be some tariffs for some things somewhere. So we just decided there's certain things that have just kind of, as I said, been sort of lingering on the wish list. And Robert and I talked about it, and we said, well, since there's a possibility that board game prices could go up and we can afford these things right now, let's just buy a bunch of stuff. And some of these games that we've ordered are going to go under the tree rather than that. But some of these went ahead and delivered, and we've got them right now and are not yet playing them. But Grand Austria Hotel is a classic game, and one that I felt like I should have and should play. And I'm looking forward to playing it. But it was one of those games that was going to be on the list basically until a lot of other games were bought. And then, I just hadn't gotten around to getting it. Another game that I ordered that's been delivered is Near and Far. We really kind of want to get all the Ryan Lockett games, though I don't know if we'll like all of them. So far we have. But this has been on the list for a very, very, very long time, at least as long as it's been around probably. But this is a campaign game and has different quests and maps and stuff like that. And when I'm punching in and going through and inventorying all the pieces and stuff, I looked at Robert and I said, and this is going to be the next Jaws of the Lion. Yes, this is going to be our next Jaws of the Lion, the big, heavy, and it is actually heavy, the big game that is going to take a lot of time to play and be hard to table. But it's one we really want to play, and we still haven't gotten Sleeping Gods back to the table for a second play. So yeah, I'm not really sure how that's going to work. But yeah, we have gotten a few games that have been sort of lingering on the wish list, and we've ordered a few more that are going to end up going under the tree. Let me see. I got, and I don't have the box for it here because I've already loaded it out of the box and sleeved the cards. I picked up the Imaginary Ends expansion for Doomlings because we do love us some Doomlings. And it came in yesterday, the expansion, and I sleeved it last night, and I haven't yet packed it away with all the other cards, but that's one other thing we got. And we got, besides the North Pole Nightmare, we got another Christmas game. We found out about this from Jen and Jane over at Spielmill. Christmas Movie Magic. You know those travel games where you got a card or a subject and you like point it out when you pass the thing? Kind of like Cow, Tiger, Santa Claus, if you're familiar with that button shy game. But this is a game you play while watching Christmas movies. So you have Multicolored Christmas lights for 2 points. A plaid pattern. Robert spotted a plaid shirt for 1 point. A stocking. Someone running. See, not all of them are particularly Christmas themed. Santa hat. Someone or something with a Christmas themed name is mentioned. Okay, Christmas carolers. Snow boots. I didn't know what snow boots looked like because I'd never lived anywhere where snow was like a regular thing, but Robert has. So I threw snow boots into this card and he snatched it up and got it. Santa or Mrs. Claus. White Christmas lights. See, not just Christmas lights, white Christmas lights. Glitter. Glitter was hard. Hot coffee, an elf or just elf ears, treasured photo or family album, family heirloom, calendar or date, struggling business owner, someone says Christmas, ice skates. Not all movies are going to have these things, but what you do is everybody gets 3 cards. Whoa, I jumbled them up front to back here. They also have suits like reindeer and gingerbread man, and the suits are used for bonus points. There's variations on how you play, so the suits may come into that somewhere too. But everybody gets 3 cards. So that way you're not competing to be the first one to spot a thing. You're trying to spot things that are of one of the 3 cards in your hand. You can discard cards if you think that is not in this movie at all. But the discard is just a huge face-up pile on the table. Clear your coffee table before you play this game. It's just a big face-up side-by-side cards on the table. And after you discard it, then that card is kind of up for grabs. If anybody sees something that's in the discard, then they can yell, holiday movie, Christmas movie magic, that's it, and grab the card for what it is. And you have to say what it is when you play a card into your pile. Like I spot a gingerbread house, so I would say if this is in my hand, I say gingerbread house, and I put it in my personal pile of earned cards. The discard, if you run out of cards in the pile, and right at the end of the movie, we drew the very last card, so it worked out just exactly even. So we had all cards in our piles, in our hands, or in the discard right as the movie ended. And we did this with A Christmas Story. I could not find a snowman in The Christmas Story. I was sure there was one outside in one of those in the background of one of those snow scenes, but I could not find it. So that one stayed in my hand the whole time. And there is a little bit of strategy to this. It's like you can only have 3 cards in your hand, and you're looking at those 3 cards and you're going like, well, I know 2 of these are in this movie, but they're later in the movie. And there's this one that I think is in the movie, but I'm not absolutely sure. So do I keep these in my hand and just sit on them and just get those few points? Or do I say put one of those cards, the one that's lower scoring or that I am less sure of, into the community discard pile, which becomes kind of like an extension of your hand in a way. So that you can then draw something else that you might be able to score more quickly and cycle through the cards more quickly, something that's more of a sure thing maybe, so that you have the cards in your hand that you're trying to score right now, and then you have the kind of the discard pile in which anybody can score off of those at any time. So it was a huge amount of fun, just tremendous fun. I cannot wait to take Christmas movie magic over to the house with the family and play this around Christmas time while watching a movie. We must do this. I think it's going to be even funner and wilder with more people. This is definitely a hit. And with this, we segued from games that we have bought to games that we have played. This is a first time play. We got this a little while back, and I hesitated. This was also another one that was on my list for a very long time. We got this a little while back because I know this game is a huge amount of fun. I have seen it played online, but and the app, you can, if there's only 2 players, you can use the app to have as the player that calls the game And you don't even need most of the components if you use the app to call the game. And then the two players can then play. We played this, and this was a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to get this to the table with more people. It is a betting game. You are betting on horse races, and the die rolls determines the horse number that runs, and also the how many spaces they move up. The bets are placed on the board here. And so you've got a lot of different options for what to bet, and that's how much it will, how many coins it will pay off. You have also all kinds of bonus bets and stuff. You might want to, there are prop bets. First game, we put out the prop bets, and the first race, I think we only put a prop bet out by the third race, because it does, I think it's 3 races, and is it 3 or 4? No, it's maybe 4. So we didn't use prop bets on the first couple of races because we were just so busy trying to pay attention to what we're doing and getting our bets down before the bets closed. And it does have that real-time element in it. But if you use the app to call the game or have a real human being call it, then you can have some like time between each horse moving. But if you use the app, you can speed up or slow down the calling of the race so that more people have time to get all of their bets out. We also played, we have started playing, I mentioned in the last video, Winter Carcassonne, which I had ordered from Germany. It is the second winter edition with the river. This game is on track to be played more than the regular version of Carcassonne, which is one of my favorite games and Robert's all-time favorite game, and we really love the winter version. I think it's the artwork. It's just, I don't know, it's very pretty and serene. I don't know, we really like that though. I wish somebody would bring it out in American edition. Yeah, the German edition is in German, but I mean, we already know how to play. It is the base game of Carcassonne, and this one has the Winter River, so that would be the base game with the Winter River. We've considered maybe grabbing the abbot from our regular game and adding an abbot in here to this, because that would not add any tiles. It would just add a meeple, and there is a winter garden on there. We have played, since the last time I made a video, we have played a huge amount of Azul. Just a crazy amount of Azul. And here's the thing. The more we play this game, the more I like it. But the more we play this game, the worse I get at it. I mean, I'm not kidding. My scores just keep going down. And yet, and I can't get enough of it, but at the same time, it's like, I said to Robert, I think I'm really getting the hang of it now. I am. I really like this. I know what to do. I've got it all figured out. And then I post like the lowest score I've ever gotten. And then I'm going like, no, really, I've got it now. And then I'm going like, oh, wow, I kind of did even worse than before. It was just, Board Game Beans. They did a video not that long ago about the Mini Azul, which is a travel version of Azul, which has, well, I'll put a link below for you to look. It's not just smaller. It is also set up to be easier to handle with smaller pieces because it's got little things on the board, and also better for travel. The bag is still, I kind of agree with them, the bag on that is not great, but I will put a link to that in the description below. Let me see if I have marked off all of the games we've played here. No, I have not. We have also played Mycelia again, which we really like. It just has this is the shiny golden slipcover thing, and then this is, voila, the game. This is Area Control, Area Majority. It has the most beautiful arty cards for the things. This is one of those games, I sleeve the cards because the cards are very pretty and I want to keep the cards looking all pretty and pristine, and it comes with some art prints. This was the Kickstarter version, and bugs. Tiny little bag of bugs. That you put on the tiles that have bugs. But as you can see here, I sleeved the cards. All of the cards, even the solo version cards, and I didn't sleeve these, the how to play and the big cards that tell you about the automata. But all of the deck here, the entire deck, they're all sleeved and they still fit in the box. But yeah, this game is so pretty. This is just such a pretty game. You are rolling dice to decide, determine where your spores are scattered. You have to keep links to your mushrooms and mother plants on, otherwise you cannot use those spores to buy the cards that you need for the points. Then you have special powers when you decay a card after you've spored it 3 times. Oh, I'm about to put this on here without the lid. I'm an idiot. No, I'm just not paying attention to what I'm doing while I'm making the video, and I'm not gonna, I remember now, I struggled to get the slip cover on in another video, so we're not doing that until after the video is over, Mycelia. And the only other thing that we played is, let me see, yeah, the only other thing that we played, and I don't have the box for it here, is I played a couple of games of A Gentle Rain, the solo game, which is from Incredible Dream. It is such a nice, relaxing, and fun solo game. It's just very chill, and I scored my best score ever, 16. My best score ever for a game of A Gentle Rain. So I was pretty pleased about that. There was a part of me, because in the very original version, which I also have, there was a printing error that duplicated or turned like 2 tiles, so that you didn't have like an equal number of these kinds of tiles or something like that. It was a small error, but I always wondered if that affected how well I won, because the original game I played a huge amount, and I had like a over 50% win ratio with the original game. And I've actually got the Bloom edition of this, so I have it entered separately for statistical purposes. And I haven't played it quite as much as the other one, but my win ratio is still pretty close. It's about 50%, not over 50. But I also got higher point numbers than I've ever gotten before. So yeah, I don't think that the printing error in the first one screwed up my win ratio or scoring ratio too much. Maybe scoring though. But yeah, I played that. I'm probably going to play it a lot more. It's just such a chill game. And we're going into that busy Christmas season. And that is it for today. It has been so much fun just sitting around the table talking to y'all about games. And there's going to be a lot more games to talk about. I will do a video in which I talk about some of the games that we play around Christmas time besides Christmas Movie Magic. We do have a number of other Christmas or winter themed games that we tend to play around this time of the year. Not too many though, not too many, but we will get to that. And I will see y'all next time round the table. Bye.